The new Hogwarts Legacy gameplay showcase got me even more hyped about the game and really convinced me I'm likely going to spend a lot of hours once the game launches. We have a lot of new info to talk about, including the mount system, awesome new combat details, and much more in this video. Also, if you're still on the fence if you should buy the game or not, then maybe I could interest you in a giveaway that I'm doing for a deluxe edition of Hogwarts Legacy on all platforms. All you have to do is to subscribe to this channel, leave a like on the video, and then comment down below what was your favorite feature from the new gameplay showcase, and I will reach out to the winner at the end of the giveaway. But let's get started with some brand new mount details and first look at how that works and how it looks in action, with different mounts having slightly different mechanics and as a result also other gameplay advantages. We finally of course found out for the broom what the lower right yellow meter is for, and it is a turbo meter basically, or a speed meter. It pretty much lets you know what the max speed you can achieve depending on the height from the ground. So for example, the closer you are to the ground, the faster you will go, and you can even see the yellow meter being filled. But the higher you go up, the more the meter will deplete, which in turn will notify you that this is going to reduce your speed. Luckily, there's going to be upgrades in the game that let you increase the distance from the ground at which the meter starts depleting, letting you travel much faster whenever you're higher up too. To get upgrades and buy new brooms, of course, you do it by visiting the broom shop back in Hogsmeade. You can buy better and better ones, of course, as the game goes on, but as I've said, you can also buy upgrades for it and even customize it. Compared to something like the Hippogriff mount, for example, the one that's coming from the pre-order, this is the one that we see being summoned in the scene. This one will lack a turbo meter, but at the same time provides other advantages, one of them being the fact that it travels faster and at better speeds when on the ground compared to the broom, but it's also more adaptable as you can just jump up and start flying whenever you want. There's going to be a moment in the main story when the entire world opens up and you can immediately go and start exploring, which is going to be quite useful and beneficial because you get access to a ton of content, a lot of secrets, challenges, new areas with other wizards as well as other shopkeepers, and many other things to interact with that will also give you some of the best look. They also gave us another look at Hogsmeade, which is basically this like wizard village, the only all wizard village in the entire game, but it's also a new feature called hamlets. So hamlets are basically different smaller locations that also feature other wizards that might be living in them, but you might also stumble across these in different ways and they will give you access to new quests and other interactions. We've seen one example here of one with plenty of access to new gameplay opportunities, including vendors, puzzles, secrets, challenges, and so on. Avalanche Studios really wants us to feel the passage of time with the seasonal change, and they also added that day and night cycle to kind of make the whole seasonal thing complete, which goes beyond just providing us a vibe. It also has some gameplay functions. One of them is the fact that interiors will also change and there's going to be seasonal holidays that will like alter the aesthetic and the decorations that you will see both inside the school as well as in the village I was just talking about. Day and night cycle also serves various gameplay purposes. One of them is the fact that certain items, whether you can interact with them or collect them, might be restricted depending on the time of day you find them. And there's also less characters around the school during the night because, well, everybody's going to be asleep, so that's also a big reason to maybe go out there and find some really cool secrets during nighttime. But speaking of the night and darkness, let's talk about the Dark Arts Battle Arena that they showcased extensively. This is, by the way, only available for the deluxe editions, but luckily you can like just buy it separately later on. This is only one of the 3 total arenas in the game, with the other 2 being accessible in the base game by all players. And by the way, all of these are accessible in their own locations, with the Dark Arts Battle Arena obviously being located into the Forbidden Forest. So you have to physically travel there and open up the secret area and then go inside. Here is where you can test out different combat challenges, fight waves of enemies, but at the end you can also get rewards from these battle arenas, including cosmetics to add to your collection. One thing that's different about the Dark Arts Arena compared to the other ones is that it gives you immediate access to all spells in game, including the unforgettable curses, which otherwise you need to like go in and manually find or unlock by just playing the game. So you can maybe get a head start in the Dark Arts Arena and already test a build out in case you're still on the fence if you want to go with a good or an evil kind of character. No worries though, as we're gonna have access to all spells, including the Dark Arts ones, so it's not like you're losing much, but there is an advantage over there that some people might be pissed off about, so let me know down below what's your opinion on that. Speaking of advantages, one of them is the Avada Kedavra or the Killing Curse, and I commend Avalanche Studios for actually making it as OP as it sounds, maybe even more even compared to the movies, because yes, it literally one-shots enemies, including some of the boss troll enemies, without any problem. To balance that, of course, the studio gave it a longer cooldown so you don't always get to spam it. But get this, there's ways to bring that cooldown down. So in this case, you can use a potion that reduces your cooldowns and it totally works for the Killing Curse too. Another one, which in my opinion is even crazier, is the fact that you can use it on multiple enemies at the same time if you have a proper build for that. Because at certain points in this combat footage, we can see some of these enemies getting debuffed with what appears to be a green curse in the shape of an axe. Well, actually, this is a curse that links up the faith of multiple enemies in the sense that whenever one of them gets damaged, all of the other enemies equally get damaged as well. So they basically share that faith altogether. So you can probably see where I'm going with this one, but this includes the Killing Curse too, to literally one shot or at least get close to that for a whole group. If that's not OP and insane at the same time, I'm not sure what is, but I commend them for the fact that they give us this option to truly become as powerful as the lore lets us become, because at the end of the day, this is a single player game, so why not? They didn't show the skill tree just yet, but they did talk about how you can focus on different aspects of combat depending on the options that you pick in the skill tree, including even perks that might make a more potion-centric build that can make your potions a lot stronger. Now, on top of that, we also got a first look at ancient magic spells, which will be on top of the 20 or so normal spells that we also have on the right side. But as you do more things in combat, like casting spells and doing damage, you'll also see that combo meter going up, and it will fill that up by also collecting these blue magical orbs that we see falling from enemies from time to time. And once that meter is filled, this is when you can unleash an ancient magic spell using L1 plus R1, resulting in another devastating attack that can oftentimes even one-shot targets. Similarly, tools will also help you a ton in combat. As I've said, you can also use the potions. One of them is the rock skin that we just had a better glimpse of. It's very useful against enemies that are large or some of these trolls to prevent incoming damage and also like reduce some of the knockback, but there's plenty more, and the key takeaway here is that you can approach combat in lots of different ways, interesting builds, and create different sort of scenarios just the way you want them. I had my reservations about the combat before this and the fact that it appeared a bit too static, but no, this was put to rest with this new showcase, so that's at least my opinion. Now, on top of this, there's also the Room of Requirement that we heard about before, and the fact that this is kind of like your base of operation where you do a lot of cool and interesting things, including upgrading items and potions, crafting gear, applying modifications on it, and a lot more. Well, this is not just that, but also a fully customizable personal space. It goes as deep into customization as changing the whole room architecture, and we can even see that option being brought up here where they change the roof of the building, and there's plenty other options. To get these customization items, you do have to get something called conjurations, and conjuration recipes can be purchased at the Tomes and Scrolls shop back in Hogsmeade, but you can also find them through gameplay and completing quests. So the roleplay potential here is really insane. A lot of access to a lot of things that you can place down. You can control how big or small they are, as well as the coloring. This is also the place where we get access to interactable objects such as the loom. It's where you get to identify, craft, and upgrade your gear, and also apply mods called traits. Now, the devs confirmed that we can oftentimes also find unidentifiable gear when doing content that needs to be brought back to this loom object to reveal its stats. And these pieces of gear can oftentimes drop with different abilities that might be useful in combats or defenses, and they are called traits. We have a first look at how the trait system works, with dozens of traits that we can later on unlock and apply to other pieces of gear. For the most part, it seems that the higher quality gear like legendary clothing can hold up traits that go up to rank 3, while lower level gear will likely allow for only like lower level types of traits. And speaking of the traits, you can find more general use ones like these passives, but also more specific abilities that blend in nicely with your talents and your current build. Furthermore, you can also craft your own clothing sets and even upgrade it, and every time you upgrade a piece of gear, which can only be done up to 3 times, at least for these ones we're seeing right here, you also unlock new trait slots that, yeah, maybe the piece of gear didn't have previously. To do all of this, of course, you will need various ingredients, furs, and other animal parts, which are based around the beast care system. So let's talk about that a little bit. There's an additional room in the room of requirement called the Vivario. It's pretty much this one right here that we saw in some of the previous gameplay shots, and it's also the place where you get to bring some of the creatures that you saved from poachers in the open world. You can of course also decorate the whole area with various buildings, structures, and ornaments that you also unlock through gameplay. Many of them are cosmetics, but there's a few items that have gameplay functions. So because these creatures need to be fed and played with, this is going to be the gameplay loop right here. You kind of have to feed them, also play with them, which is going to like make them a lot happier, and at the end of the day they will also give you the crafting mat that you need at the loom. But that can also be automated, so you can also craft some of these automatic feeders, or even like create a toy box that will take care of all of that for you. The reason that's going to be important is because the area seems to be designed to hold a lot of creatures at the same time, including a lot that you can also breed. And I noticed that there's a breeding pen that can be created in this area, and according to its description, it can be used to breed 2 beasts to produce offsprings. So I can only imagine this can be useful if you want to get a lot more furs, for example, or a lot more of those ingredients and crafting mats. You will need a lot of creatures, so this is probably going to be the way we're going to achieve that in. In any case, many more details that we skipped for now, but there's going to be a more extensive video with a lot more secret details we might have missed in the next days. So of course, if you want to see more of that, stay tuned, leave a like, maybe even consider subscribing and activating that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.